Hello, my fellow EHS attendees and participants. My name is Dr. Derek Kitterlin. I am an adjunct instructor of pastoral ministry and biblical studies at NOBTS and Level College, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm also been involved with EHS for many years. I'm excited and want you to come listen to my paper. I want to talk through my paper. I want to just give you a little introduction into what I'm doing. My paper, I'm thinking through an issue that I see in expository preaching. Expository preaching tends to be heavily precept driven. When we talk about great expositors, we talk about people who typically are known for expounding propositional content or precept laden content, and that's good. We need that. But in the midst of our contemporary situation and the material that I see, the literature I've read, the budgets of Netflix and Amazon, I think our teaching and our preaching needs more of an imaginative focus. Not that we move away from propositions and precepts, but that we begin to teach and preach with imagination. I opened up by looking at the song by Mercy Me, I Can Only Imagine. I talk a little bit, very briefly, about imagination and preaching. I talk about Calvin Miller noticed an issue in his many years of study with expository preaching and its need to be more imaginative. I talk about the experience of Warren Wiersbe and his relationship with E.K. Bailey, and how one thing he pulled away from African American preaching, Bailey particularly, African American preaching in general, was the freedom and need for imagination. The problem we have I believe, is an ostensible problem. It seems like it's an issue. We think that propositions, precepts, and imaginations are contrary. So I look at C.S. Lewis, specifically at this work, The Surprising Imagination of C.S. Lewis, and I looked at various forms of imagination he has in that book, and one that stood out particular was material imagination, and how material imagination contains the elements of vivid description, it contains the elements of figurative language, and I took the truth-telling concepts, some of the elements of material imagination, and I looked at a sermon of Gardner Taylor. I wrote my dissertation on Gardner and his use of figurative languages, schemes, and tropes. And I looked at how one of the occurrences in one of the sermons is a great example of Taylor's use of imagination, and how in that use of imagination, he's doing more than merely illustrating. He is not just saying, look at this. He is putting us in the situation and asking us to look outside at the situation from an internal perspective. So that's what I was aiming to do. Is what I was trying to do. Then I talk a little bit just about some application to expository preaching, how we could possibly use that. I would love to have you come and listen to my paper presentation as we talk through what this could look like in the future in a book format and practical, how this makes its way into our study, how we can actually do this on a day in or week in, week out basis. So look forward to seeing you in Anderson, South Carolina. God bless.